Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from the Hollywood Reporter that was published on October 27th, written by Eric Gardner. Why won't Google comment on a lawsuit accusing YouTube of censoring conservatives? And I have to give both Eric and the Hollywood Reporter credit for writing this article. I'm actually a bit shocked. Surprisingly, they're calling out Google. From what it looks like, they're actually being legit here. The Hollywood Reporter. What's driving the tech giant's silence on a claim of violating the First Amendment? Google has nothing to say yet about a lawsuit filed earlier this week that claims YouTube is violating the First Amendment by censoring conservative viewpoints. Well, because they are censoring conservative viewpoints. Anyone that is, right of Marx these days gets censored on YouTube in one way, shape, or form. And I know I am, because the funny thing is I have more traction on other platforms than I do on YouTube. And YouTube has more people, and in theory, I would get more exposure. It's kind of funny when small up-and-coming sites I've got constant growth on, and YouTube, okay, I've had a video that had continuous growth on it, okay, regarding Michael Mann being the man who came up with the hockey stick graph, and that being found in contempt of court in Canada. It was growing steadily, and then just one day, boom, like a switch was flicked, just nothing, barely anything. It's like, the floodgates on a dam just got shut. So even I, a small YouTube creator with, as of today, 35 or 36 subscribers, when I have 3 to 4 times that on other venues alone, in a lot shorter time. Yeah, even I, with that small subscriber base here on YouTube, are feeling the effects of this. The lawsuit comes from Prager University, run by radio talk show host Dennis Prager. According to the plaintiff, many of its educational videos have been put into restricted mode, which they have. This was easily verifiable. I'm surprised you guys didn't do that, because you write this article kind of calling out Google, and you could have just done some due diligence and checked this. Prager suspects there is no reasonable basis for this other than viewpoint bias, which is true. There is no reason for it, because Prager U videos are pretty tame. They really are. The complaint filed in California federal court includes charts of restricted videos compared to unrestricted videos on similar topics. Which, I love this. Like, Crowder has shown this. Dave Cullen at Computing Forever has shown this. Razorfist, the Rageaholic there, he's shown this, okay? How there are biases with YouTube and Google. For example, Prager's video titled, "Are 1 in 5 Women in College Raped?" is on lockdown, while a Real Time with Bill Maher video about The Hunting Ground, an interview with former Vice President Joe Biden on how to end the campus rape crisis, and Lady Gaga singing about rape, all can be seen by YouTube users, which is true. It's actually kind of funny. They got no problems promoting a false narrative of the 1 in 4, 1 in 5 rape culture. But they have, they have no problems with perpetuating that. But they have a problem with someone debunking it. They have no problem with Bill Maher, okay, talking to... What's scary is I'm surprised he hasn't been called out yet, because he looks like one of the world's biggest perverts. But Joe Biden, talking about ending campus rape. Okay, Lady Gaga singing about it. And it's clearly double standards, okay? Steven Crowder has proven this over and over, too. And because they know that he's got some reach, and he lets it be known, they don't really fuck with him anymore, right? At least for right now, they haven't. And he's calling them out with, like, Tranny Bane, which I suggest you check out. Tranny Bane's actually pretty funny with the Mug Club thing. But yeah, so this is an actual trend that is happening. Okay, when you have Google fired James Damore, and the head of YouTube tried to justify his firing with the fact of she didn't want to, have to agree with her woke child that there are differences between men and women. That's why he had to be fired. I mean, that's pretty sad. We asked Google about the lawsuit. A representative responded, "No comment on this. We'll let you know if this changes." Yeah, because they know they're fucked. Because Prager U, okay, how do I put this? Dennis Prager is pretty friggin' milquetoast, and Prager U follows that, okay? It's pretty mild. It's mellow, okay? It's your standard conservatism. Your standard, Republican fare, okay? It's not far right, it's classic conservative. So they can't get away with what they're trying to get away with. So all they can say is no comment. Because if they open their mouth any which way, they're going to screw themselves. What their best bet would be to just undo what they did, hope things get quiet, because if this goes to court, YouTube could be seen after this in more of a light towards a utility. And they don't want that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't, with the way that the size they are, the things that they do, I wouldn't mind see them under more scrutiny, not necessarily regulation, but being forced to uphold, equality would be a good thing. I mean, yeah, they're a private business, but when you are what amounts to a monopoly, then the government kind of has to step in. And I'm not one who believes in government intervention in general. But we're at a point of what can you do? I mean, they're not going to split Google up, which they should. They should literally treat it like a pane of glass that's sitting there, and they've got a brick in hand, and just, with the government is what I mean by they. And they should just take the brick and throw it right through the pane of glass and shatter Google into a million pieces. Kind of like what Kennedy wanted to do to the CIA. It's the only thing. I mean, you either got to do that or you got to regulate it. It's one or the other. We try not to read too much into silence, especially from a defendant who's just been sued. After all, litigation is tricky, and everyone deserves time to investigate and muster a response. Still, a no comment days after the lawsuit was filed, especially from a company as big and sophisticated as Google, in the face of the allegation that the tech giant is discriminating against a good chunk of the country, is at least somewhat worth exploring. Oh my God, I love how you try to defend Google, and then you turn around and smack them in the back of the head. See, the thing is with James Damore, they opened their mouths 2 seconds after they fired him. Okay? Prager U, anything that Google gets accused of, okay? Rigging the search results during the election. Oh, no, we weren't doing that. No. So they got no problems opening their mouth right away and dispelling or denouncing or owning up to and saying it was a mistake. Well, that's not owning up, but you know what I mean. Oh yeah, well, it was on our end and it was a quote-unquote mistake. Stuff like that. In this case, they don't want to open their mouth. Why? Because they know they're caught. They're screwed. They didn't think that they would have someone actually take them to court that has enough clout to possibly follow it through. They didn't think that was going to happen. Well, they learned otherwise now. Google could easily have said, we're not censoring conservatives, which is very true. I got to give you credit. What was your name again, man? I'm sorry. Eric. That's right. Eric with a Q. Eric, that's very true. I have to give you and the Hollywood Reporter a lot of credit here for being this blunt with this and saying this, because it goes to show that maybe the Hollywood Reporter has come from the far left, over Marx's way, back this way a little bit towards center. So this is a good sign, at least with the Hollywood Reporter, which they're normally reporting on Hollywood bullshit. And if Google wished to be more circumspect, it could have offered the cursory response employed by many defendants. We believe this action is meritless. Yeah, very true. They could have done either. But they didn't do it. Google didn't either. Yeah. We're sure Google's savvy legal and PR staff have reasons for withholding a fuller explanation of its system and averting the type of headline that would prompt conservatives to go nuts with speculation. Go nuts with speculation? See, the funny thing is us well, I'm not even a conservative because I'm not left or right. I mean, I'm like the founding fathers, and by today's standards, I might be considered conservative by that fact. But I don't consider myself conservative. And the thing is, all right, all of us that have seen this have, the quote-unquote conservatives, have been watching this going on for a long time with the ad apocalypse and, everything that's transpired since. We've known this is a fact of YouTube and Google. So to try to say go nuts with speculation is funny because it's been proven that they're going after anyone that's expressing a viewpoint that they don't want expressed, which tends to be right of Marx. We're also fairly certain that Google doesn't see Prager's lawsuit to be a threat, at least as a matter of law. Let's discuss that. Well, actually, no, it is a legal threat as a matter of law. But see, this is so fucked up. You call out, I give you credit for calling out Google, but then you try to act like, oh, no, there's no legal merit to this. The complaint filed in court isn't the worst read. Read here. One of the lawyers behind it is Eric George, who once made the Hollywood Reporter's Power Lawyers list and has represented the likes of Kim Kardashian and Michael Ovitz. So yeah, he's a Hollywood lawyer. Big fucking whoop. Still, to prevail on a claim that YouTube is violating the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, Prager will probably need to convince the judge that YouTube has transcended its private ownership to a public forum with at least some guarantee of access, which it has. If you follow their terms of service and you're not violating them and they silence you, because if you follow those rules, that's a guarantee of access. All right, if you're not gonna do the hate speech or whatever bullshit they have in it, and you fall within those lines, then they have no grounds to try to censor you or make it so that your content is not easily viewable, or sandbox you, or cancel your account or anything like that. They don't have the right to do that because it's a contract. When you sign up as a member, you're agreeing to that contract. If they're not going to hold up their end of the contract, they should be held legally accountable for it. And that's what Prager is looking for here. This type of First Amendment showdown is a bit trendy at the moment, though not even President Donald Trump would go so far as to argue that YouTube is a public forum regulated by the First Amendment. Well, because he doesn't want to see them become a utility. After all, check out Trump's response to the lawsuit over the way he's blocking people on Twitter. Yeah, but see, that's different. That's his personal account. If he was blocking on the POTUS account, okay, that's a different story. And if you want to take it a step further, okay, look at all the members of Congress that block people. Are those their personal accounts or are they congressional accounts? Oh, wait, that's right, they're personal accounts. So he has the right to do that. You can't equate a company like YouTube to that type of situation, because it is conflation. Especially when you have Google oh God. I love how people on the left want this whole net neutrality thing. And then they tried to defend Google and YouTube censoring individuals. This is when Google, because of its fiber, is covered under Title II, FCC regulation. So they're providing a service, and with that, they're guaranteed to make sure that that service happens. There's another example of where Google is screwed. So to try to say that there's no merit and that this isn't going to fly is actually funny. I got to give Eric credit. He calls it out on OneNote, but then he tries to play it back like, oh, it's nothing, no big deal, nothing to see here. So, I mean, I got to give you partial credit. I'm not going to give you full credit. I mean, the premise of plaintiff's First Amendment argument. All right, well, so let's get back here to Trump's thing here. So this is his. The premise of plaintiff's First Amendment argument that the president's Twitter account is a forum to which they have been denied access is baseless, his Justice Department wrote. At most, the account is a channel for the president's speech, and the requirement of viewpoint neutrality accordingly does not apply. Now, if it was the POTUS account, that would be a different story. You can't conflate these two. It don't work like that. Trump's response also argued the judge should resist plaintiff's invitation to extend forum analysis to the president's Twitter account solely based on the manner in which Twitter, a private company, has structured its website. Yeah. I mean, unless, again, it was the POTUS account. Then that would be a different story. When a judge gets around to analyzing Prager's lawsuit against YouTube, it could be Google's First Amendment rights that could be under the real threat. That's perhaps best articulated by the judge who wrote that speech results from whatever a speaker chooses to say and what he chooses not to say. The right in question comprises both a right to speak freely and also a right to refrain from doing so at all, and is therefore put at risk by both prohibiting a speaker from saying what he otherwise would say and also by compelling him to say what he otherwise would not say. Very true. See, the thing is, again, if you have to worry about that and you're within the rules, the guidelines, whatever you want to call it, the terms of service of Google, of YouTube, as long as you're within those, then you shouldn't have to worry about what you say. You shouldn't have to worry about being demonetized. You shouldn't be have to worry about being de-incentivized on, speaking your mind and speaking openly and freely. There is also Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which explicitly gives an ISP immunity from any actions voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considered to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable, whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. Now, this was never what the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act was intended for. All right. It was never... The Communications Decency Act was written for television. For broadcast television. Okay? And it's about the government having these broadcast providers have their content meet the requirements for FCC licensing. That was the whole point of the Communications Decency Act. It has nothing to do with the internet. Nothing at all. But yet, they try to make it seem that way. And let's see what they're actually using here. So, this is the Cornell Law Legal Information Institute. Yeah, so, I mean, don't get me wrong, Cornell's a good school, but as I said, it was intended for broadcast television. It shouldn't be applying to the internet. And on that note, it's the government saying, okay, like the FCC saying, these are the things, okay, like the, anyone who's seen Howard Stern's Private Parts, you have the attorney there going, yeah, you can't say these words, cocksucker, motherfucker, you know, fuck, shit, piss, whatever. It's the same thing with that. That's the intent of that, with radio and television. It's not meant for the internet. But they don't say that. Because they're trying to give excuses for how Google could get away with this. I mean, like I said, I can only give you half credit, Eric. In short, Google might not need any reason at all to restrict videos it chooses not to carry on its video sharing site. And we'll see. Still, Google has apparently come to the decision not to speak up about this, at least not yet. The company will certainly provide a response in court, but it's withholding comment to reporters and staying mum on the subject on its policy blog. Well, yeah, because it knows it's fucked. You're trying to defend Google, all right, which kind of, I'm wondering, because you're calling them out, but then you're defending them. You're like torn. You're like half woke. Aish. So why? If the reasoning isn't legal, maybe it's something else. No, it is legal. It is legal because they know they're fucked. They believe they're fucked. And they think they're going to get fucked. Rightfully so, too. Does it believe that a comment will only inflame conservatives? Or might a current Capitol Hill discussion of regulating online political advertising have something to do with the silence? Neither. Okay, conservatives have been the ones talking about this long before you got into this, Eric. Long before that. And it's not only conservatives that are getting the whole silenced thing, the whole de-incentivized by being put in restricted mode. That's happening to other people that aren't conservatives too. Jesus, you're awful, man. Google, of course. Well, before we go on. See, I don't think the regulation of political advertising has anything to do with it. Which I personally don't think there should be any regulation like they're trying to propose for political advertising. All because a few $1,000s, well, thousands of dollars, hundreds of 100,000, I think it was tops, but like $100,000 in Facebook advertising supposedly swayed the election. Bullshit. There's no reason for them to try to say where political advertising comes from. This is about attacking the right. This is about the left pulling this shit out and rhinos and neocons. Okay, to try to stop another Trump. That's the whole point of it. Because they don't like other people playing in their sandbox. Because you end up with people like Trump who go in and play, go off to the corner and take a big old stanky shit in the sandbox and go, oh yeah, have fun. Now I'm going to destroy your asses because that's what I was elected to do. They don't want that. Google, of course, hasn't provided an answer, but maybe some attention to its speechlessness will cure that. After all, perhaps it's just Google really hates conservatives. Oh, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. Because when you have Google printing up shirts for their employees, Black Lives Matter shirts with Google logos on them and shit, when you have them pushing feminazi shit and firing James Damore, who wasn't, saying anything that was out there, isn't even conservative, yeah. They hate anything right of Marx. And they're showing their true colors with that. So now, you look at Google here, they're silent. They're going to keep doing that for a while. They're screwed. Mark my words, they know they're in deep shit. And I think I've gone into this well enough here, so I'm going to leave things where I am at right now. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.